In this video, I'll be explaining how endings actually work in Silent Hill 2 Remake. First of all, huge spoilers warning, and second of all, huge props, huge credits to user on Steam. Death is coming, because this is his work. I'll leave the link on the description so you can check his guide on Steam. And yeah. To explain the point systems, we'll be starting with the initial points allocation. The game starts with 5 points on the leaf ending, 3 for Maria and 2 for in the water. Now you have to keep in mind that the best spots, the best spot to save and to manipulate the endings will be right at the end of the game, before the dual pyramid fights. And there is also another mechanic, not explained in the guide, but supposedly you get a bonus point for each ending. If you got already one of the others, you'll receive a point for the endings you have yet to see, meaning you can get up to 2 points in the last ending remaining for you to see. So keep that in mind. And we're going to start with all the actions that give points for the endings in the game, and I'll try to organize them in a chronological order. The first action that gives points is going to be the Mary's personal items. You have them at the beginning of the game, and is inspecting them more than 3 times is going to give 1 point to leave and another point for in the water endings. Now, a few actions that span the whole game. The first one is going to be excessive healing. You need to be careful to not heal above your HP. If you heal in excess above 600 points, it's going to be 1 point to leave, so watch out for those. Also, keeping a low health profile, it's going to give 1 point to the water ending. There is a counter that starts counting when a cross animation in the corner while flashing begins. So if you stay like 100 seconds roughly in that state, you're going to get 1 point in the water. Total amount of enemies killed during the game also give points. If the amount is below 150, it's going to be 1 point for leave, and if it's above the 350, it's going to be a point for water. And the last point that spawns the whole game is going to be enemies stomp while they are dead. So if you stomp more than 30 enemies while they are already dead, it's going to be 1 point for water. Now we are starting chronologically with actions in the game. So the first one is going to be the apartments coin puzzle, which is about the solution you choose on the final coin you have to choose to put in the above slot. If you choose the snake, it's going to be leaf, the man is water, and if you choose the woman, it's going to be Maria's ending point. The next action is going to be the Angelus knife. Inspecting more than 2 times this item in the personal items is going to be 1 point for water, and be careful because the first time receiving the knife counts as 1, so you only have 2 more times to inspect it to have the point. Now this point is a bit tricky to explain, but during the first pyramid boss fight, you can do 3 things. You can just simply don't fight back at all, and you'll have the denied status, which is going to be 1 point for leave. Otherwise, if you fight a lot and force the 2 phases this boss has, you'll have +1 point in water. And if you just fight just a little bit and let the timer of the phases pass, which is going to be roughly 60 seconds per phase, it's going to be a default and there won't be any changes in the point system. The first time you get to know Maria, and she becomes to be your follower. While exploring the west-south Vale, she'll be noticing when you are not going to the right direction in the motel. This is going to be a normal happen, especially if you are going out of your way for collectibles, and actually you need it to do that as well anyway. For the next action I'm going to explain about her. So if she tells you you are going the wrong way more or equal to 7 times, there is going to be a subtraction of 1 point for leaf and 1 point for water. Also keep in mind the damage that Maria gets through the game also impacts the endings. If she gets more than 50 points of damage, there is going to be a subtraction of 1 point for the Maria ending. The first wrap in the motel actually do not count as damage done to her. Now there is another point to be gained during the West-South Vale exploration with her. You need to get to experience 4 interactions. The first one is going to be a side location, the auto shop garage. You need to let her in. You need a special item in order to enter this garage. The second one is going to be the dress in the motel. After coming back from one of the rooms, she'll be holding one pink dress, and it's going to be asking your opinion about it. Make sure to interact with her. Now the third one is story related, and it's just opening the gate in the motel, the Jackson. And the fourth and final one, it's actually just next to the after opening the gate of the motel, there is a mansion right in front. So go there, go just to the entrance, and just get back, and Maria is going to be standing there, and she'll be like kind of frightened. You'll just need to listen to her conversation, and all those 4 interactions are going to give you +1 point for the Maria ending. Next point as well for Maria's ending is going to be on the Heaven's Night Club. I don't have footage of this recorded, but just after she's waiting for you on the door, there will be 7 items you can interact with. So interact with all of them in this club before talking to her, which is going to be 4 posters, a nurse outfit, a whiskey bottle, and a lost and found bin to get the point for Maria's ending. Now, next up is going to be the hospital. During this section, Maria is going to lay on the bed at some point, and you can get another point for Maria's ending here. Which you have to do is right after she laid on the bed, interact with her 3 times, and it's going to turn her back on the bed. And the next one time you need to interact with her is going to be just after getting your first bracelet, which is a major key item on the hospital. After that, you can just go back and see her for another cutscene, and just those 2 things is going to give you the final point for the Maria's ending. And there's another actually cutscene on the hospital, but it seems it's not really needed to obtain that +1 point. The next action is going to take place on the South Vale Otherworld. This time it's going to be on Neely's bar. There is going to be a message written in the wall just above the jukebox, and reading and interacting with this message is going to give 1 point to the water ending. Next up is on Toluca's Prison's final puzzle, which is going to be the Gallow puzzle, and this one is really tricky to explain and actually to give the right answers, but as a sort of summary, there are 2 right possible answers for this puzzle. Also do notice the answers are kind of random. It's not going to be always the same ones, but generally speaking, you need to read carefully the stories that are represented on the slates, and there are some stories that kind of remind or represent the Eddie's background or the Angela's one. Like, for example, the Eddie's ones might be talking about taking lives and getting pleasure on that. And Angela's is going to be talking about the knife or his mother or his father. Now, there's also answers that kind of represent James, the protagonist. In my case, in this footage, I chose the fourth slate, which kind of talks about having to like rob a pharmacy to get healing items because he needs them, so out of necessity. And it kind of reminds of how you actually get those healing items, just because you need them, right, in the game. So yeah, there is not a foolproof explanation of this, but you need to play with those things in mind. And if you choose an Eddie's or Angela's representation answer, there's going to be 1 point for leaf and another point for water. And if you end up choosing a James background story, it's going to be 1 point for the Maria's ending. Back with Maria again, this time in the Labyrinth. There's another point to be gained towards her ending, and this time we need to visit her 3 times until she starts humming. And these 3 times are going to be right before the rotten area, so right when we get to reach this area of the labyrinth, and before doing anything with the puzzle cube, sorry. And the next one is going to be right after the rotten area, and the third and final one is going to be just before the desolate area. So during those 3 times, she's going to be alive, and she's going to be end up humming a song. And the 4th time required, and the 4th interaction required for this point, it's going to be right after we get to discover she's laying dead on the cell. Right after that, leave the room and re-enter again, get around to see her, and that is what is going to trigger the +1 point for the Maria's ending. There is another interaction that is going to take place in the hotel, in Lakeview Hotel, and it's related to the mirrors puzzle. There are 2 apples you can put on the plate. You actually need to get a bit out of the way to get the rotten apple, which is right at the entrance in the garden. And depending on which apple you put in the plate, you're going to receive 1 point for an ending and another. So if you get to choose the rotten apple, you're going to get +1 in leaf and +1 in the water endings. And if you put the ripe apple in the plate, you're going to receive +1 point for Maria's ending. The final action just before the duo pyramid boss fight is going to take place in the Lakeview Hotel Otherworld. During this place, there is going to be 3 weak and non-hostile enemies that might be even crawling. There is a figure and a nurse and a mannequin. If you happen to kill all 3 of them, you'll receive 1 point for the water ending. Final 2 actions take place right after you get your save on the 9 red squares saving point to manipulate the endings, and right after the duo pyramid boss fight, there is going to be 2 eggs you can take as key items to place them on the doors ahead, and depending on which door you enter through, you'll receive 1 point or another. If you enter through the door that you just put the rust egg, you'll receive 1 point for leaf and 1 point for water. And if you go through the scarlet egg door, you'll receive 1 point for Maria's ending. And finally, the last point is going to be received on the sickbed conversation in the corridor. If you happen to stay through the whole conversation right after she ends crying and stops, you'll receive 1 point for leaf and 1 point for water endings. If you skip the conversation, you just be at a blank state for the endings, which is useful depending on what ending you wanted to end up obtaining. Now, to wrap this guide up, I'll be giving a final explanation of how you can take all these actions and points to your advantage. So in my case, for example, in my walkthrough, which I'll leave the link on the card above in this video and in the description, I'll just ended up right before the duo pyramid. I had 7 points for leaf, 6 points for Maria, and 6 points for water. So you actually want to aim to get like a nice spread of points as equal as possible, so you can manipulate these points right after the duo pyramid. Right before the duo pyramid boss fight save. So in my case, the first ending I got was the leaf ending because I chose the rust eggs, giving me 1 point for the leaf ending, and I skipped the corridor. So I ended up with 8 points for leaf ending, and that was the highest point allocation, so I got that one. Now I reloaded the save right before the pyramid boss fight, and what I did to get the water's ending is to inspect the knife to get those water ending points. I also stayed at low health during the pyramid boss fight and even the corridor to get another point in the water ending. I chose the rust egg again because that's the one that gives points to leaf and water endings. And you can actually skip the corridor dialogue because it does anything, but I chose to stay, and I also got the bonus point for having the leaf ending but haven't experienced yet the water ending. Now after that I got water ending, and for the third and final ending I reloaded the save again. This time, since I got to view the other two endings, I have already 2 plus points for Maria's ending on the save file, and the only thing I needed to do is to choose the scarlet egg door, and that was another point for Maria's ending, and just skip the corridor dialogue, and that's it. That's the strategy that got me the 3 endings in one playthrough. Also, as a final tip, notice that your ending is determined right after getting out of the corridor, and also keep in mind right when you get up to the roof, depending on what ending you got, Maria is going to be doing an action or another. For example, in Maria's ending, Mary's was laying on the bed, and for the living ending, she was watching through the window. So yeah, that's everything for this guide. Hope it's useful to you. This is all the points and all the systems that you need to spread and prepare your playthrough to get all the endings. So yeah, let me know in the comments what endings did you got in the end, and if it was useful to you. Don't forget to drop a like, it helps a lot, and make sure to subscribe. See you on the next videos. Cheers.